I am Khadija Diallo, the Deputy Finance Minister of the Non-Executive Council Association of Gambian Students in India. I'll be your host tonight, and with me I have Mr. Sankun Tarawale. Mr. Sanku, you may please introduce yourself. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Madam Khadija Diallo. Good evening to those in India and good afternoon to those joining us from the Gambia and around the globe. My name is Sangun Chawale, a final year student at Ryan Maharashtra College of Commerce. It is a pleasure to be your co-host for this important event. And without wasting much time, we'll head straight to the first item on our agenda, which is an opening prayers. As tradition demands, all coming event starts with an opening prayers, and this will not be an exception. And I'll call on all the members to pray in their individual ways. Thank you.
Amin Ya Rabbi. May all our prayers be answered. So next itinerary on our agenda, um, before we start proper, ladies and gentlemen, my fellow GAMIN members in India here and back home, Gambia, distinguished guests, and everyone that is present here. I would like to welcome all of you today in this important gathering. Today we are here to celebrate the Republic Day of our motherland, the Gambia. As we all know, today, 24th of April, is our Republic Day. So the day of our motherland, the Gambia, this day marked a transition to full governance of the Gambia. Like this was the day that we have ourselves, I can say that. So before we invite the guests, I would like to call on Mr. Sankun Tarawale to read the biography of our guest. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Madam Khadija Diallo. Ladies and gentlemen, it is both an honor and a privilege to introduce a man whose voice, intellect, and legacy have profoundly shaped the narrative of Gambian sports and beyond. A veteran journalist of remarkable distinction, he is not only a celebrated football commentator, but also a respected sports historian whose insights have preserved and elevated the story of Gambian football across generations. His authoritative work and insider's review of Gambian football stands as a testament to his depth of knowledge and enduring passion for the game. Beyond the microphone and the written word, this gentleman has served his nation on global stage as the first secretary at the Gambia's mission in Washington, D.C., where he was entrusted with public policy and consular affairs from 2002 to 2008. His service reflects a rare blend of diplomacy, intellect, and national commitment. Today, his impact continues across multiple fronts. He serves as the chairman of the Welfare Committee of Sports Journalists Association of the Gambia, contributes to shaping excellence as a member of the Awards Committee of the Gambia Football Federation, and leads from the front as the CEO of Medina United Football Academy, nurturing the next generation of talent. In addition, he bridges continents as the West Africa's representative for Elite USA Basketball, fostering international sporting connections and opportunities. A man of many roles, yet one unwavering purpose: to develop, document, and dignify sports in the Gambia and beyond. Please join us in warmly welcoming an icon, a mentor and a true custodian of sports heritage, Mr. Tijan Masane Sise, veteran Gambian journalist, football commentator, sports historian, former Gambian diplomat, served as the first secretary responsible for public policy and consular matters at the Gambia's mission in Washington, D.C. from 2002 to 2008. Author of an insider's review of Gambia's football, current chairman of the Welfare Committee of Sports Journalists Association of the Gambia, member of the Awards Committee of the Gambia Football Federation, and the current CEO of Medina United Football Academy.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sankon Tarawale. As we may all know, our host is not only sport oriented, but a nation builder. Someone who is very, very important in our country and 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 and, and beyond. So I encourage all of you to stay with us and then learn from him. This year's theme, we are going to celebrate under this theme, sport in the Gambia the rise of Gambian sport from local roots to global recognition. This is the theme for this year's celebration. This theme shows how sport in the Gambia have changed. They began in local communities and have now gained international recognition. It highlights talent, resilience, unity, and national pride. As lovers of football, athletics, and other sporting activities, we all know how sport has rise from local level to international recognition.
From football fields in our neighborhoods to international arenas, Gambian athletes continues to make us proud. The Musa Barros and the Yankuba Mintes are excelling exceptionally well in football. The queen of track, Gina Bass, and fast sprinter Adama Jame have raised our flags in athletics. These achievements are not just victory for individuals, but milestones for a nation steadily rising on global sports. And as we celebrate this inspiring journey of Gambian sports from humble beginning to international recognition, it is only fitting that we move to the next part of our program.
It is a privilege for everyone that is present here to learn from our guest speaker, a man of wisdom, knowledge, and a nation builder. Therefore, as a tradition of Gambian, I would like to call on Mr. Sajo A.K. Jaju, the president of the Ninth Executive Council of the Association of Gambian Students in India, to give us an opening remark. Mr. President, you are welcome.
May I confirm my audibility and visibility?
You are audible. Yes, you are audible and visible.
Yes. Let me start with a quote from the great Nelson Mandela, who once said, "Sport has the power to change the world. It has the power to inspire. It has the power to unite people in a way that little else does." Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guest of honor, respected host in this regards, Ms. Khadija Tujalo, and of course, Mr. Sankar Trawale, members of the Ninth Executive Council of Gambian, the advisory board, the state alcalos, the ever available Gambian alumni, members of Coxwa, fellow Gambian students in India, and all esteemed participants from the Gambia and across the globe. A wonderful good evening from the Indian side, good morning for our Gambian viewers, and good afternoon to our viewers from the United States and Canada. It is a great honor to welcome you to Gambian's Republic Day 2026 as we celebrate 56 years of our beloved Republic. Today is another commemoration of our past and a celebration of our journey, a journey marked by resilience, growth, and an ever-evolving national identity. Over the years, this platform, which is like the Google Meet and the Republic Day, has allowed us to reflect on key pillars of our nationhood. During our 54th in Republic Day, which was year before last, we had the privilege of hosting Honorable Sidia Jata, who guided us through the landscape of Gambian politics. On our 55th Republic Day, which was last year, our focus shifted to national security with valuable insights from Captain Kemo Kanite. Each celebration has deepened our understanding of who we are as a people. This year, we turn our attention to a force that speaks a universal language, sports, under the theme celebrating 56 years of the Republic, the rise of Gambian sports from local roots to global recognition. We explore a story of passion, discipline, and national pride. From dusty community fields, as we would say Mboyo fields and so, to international arenas, Gambian sports has grown into a symbol of hope and global recognition. It recognizes us beyond tribe, religion, politics, and background. This undoubtedly reminds us that when one Gambian rises, the entire nation rises with them. Today, we're honored to be joined by a distinguished veteran whose journey embodies this very spirit. His presence here is not just timely, but deeply meaningful. And he will be formally, and he's already formally introduced by the MCs. I would also say, welcome, sir, who is Honorable Mr. Tijan Masare Sise. We are really honored to have you in our midst, sir. As we begin, I encourage all of us to listen, learn, and engage. Let the moment not only celebrate our Republic Day, let it not only celebrate our progress, but also inspire us to contribute, each in our own way, to the continued rise of Gambian sports. Happy Republic Day to Mama Gambia. Happy Republic Day to Gambia. Happy Republic Day to Gambians in India. Happy Republic Day to you all. And may the Gambia continue to move from strength to strength. That being said, I, Sadio Ike Jaju, the president of the 9th Executive Council of the Association of Gambian Students in India, hereby declare 2026 Republic Day open. And thank you all.
Thank you so much, Sajo Eke Jaju, the president of the Association of Gambian Students in India, for those wonderful remarks. Without wasting much time, we'll move to the next item on our agenda. As we celebrate this inspiring journey, it is important to remember that sports like poetry tell stories. They share the tales of struggle and growth. We now invite the Gambian Writers Clinic to present a poetry interlude.
Am I audible? Yes, it was the 24th of April, 1970, when we rose to think and act for ourselves. Today, it sounds like an ordinary day, but never will it be. It was a day of liberation, a day of declaration of the Gambian might, a day of complete self ownership. A group of enlightened men and women rose and marched as one, realizing that even the smallest can cast the largest shadow when awake and driven by shared purpose. So let us come together and celebrate our heroes. Their courage, determination, dedication, and love for our nation we continue to adore. They may not dwell among us today, but their courage and sacrifices be our driving force. So as we bask in their manifest blessings, let us reflect upon our actions. Let our sacrifices be our driving force. Of course, it is 56 years of self-ownership, 56 years of self-determination, and 56 years of self-leadership. So let us look around and assess ourselves. Do our actions truly reflect our fundamental values, or we have become victims of selfish individuals dressed in fancy clothing? Are we truly building our nation, or it has become a castle of unfulfilled promises and hope? Wata alngang hakilo to ngam mira,
katu banku doku wo manke kunkilin kuti bari a nyanta mbela makanna banku doku nyanta lafta ka minja sama woto alingan na fatam fansol fay ngante wasitin na banku e. The Gambia we will live in tomorrow is the Gambia we have built today. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Aminata Saho, for that wonderful poem. Our team today reminds us that behind every success in sport lies a dedication, discipline, and a vision. To shed more light on this journey and its broader impact, we are honored to call on our distinguished guest speaker to share more valuable insight on this topic. Therefore, I would like to call on Honorable Mr. Tijan Masane Sise to shed more light on today's theme. Mr. Sise, you are welcome.
Thank you so much, distinguished viewers from around the world and the very great Gambian students in India, future leaders that will be entrusted with the responsibility of guiding our nation to the next level. Listening to that poem make me want to remember a great man in the history of our country, a man who led the independence movement and ultimately became the first president 56 years ago, the man from Barajali, Alhaji Sadauda Kairaba Jawara, who reminded us on the eve of independence, and I quote, "The Gambia, though small, may not be able to offer a lot in material terms, but will be able to demonstrate to the world how a group of people with different ethnic origins and religious backgrounds can live together in peace and harmony." He furthered that the Gambia will not only be responsible for its domestic affairs, but will also be engaged in the international arena. And your being in India today, preparing to come back to play your part in nation building, does take us back to what Sadauda said. So I am profoundly grateful to you all, to be here this afternoon from my end to talk to you on the rise of Gambian sports from local roots to global recognition. And before I say a word, I would want us to take just a moment to remember a young Gambian sports journalist that transitioned, Mbaikor of Star TV, and also the greatest, Alhaji Mamadou Njai Biri Biri, who I had the distinct privilege of covering for many years, and all the great athletes that have passed on to eternity. May they all be given a merciful judgment and may they rest in perfect peace. Amen. I spent my entire youth life covering Gambian football before I proceeded to these United States. At 14, I became the youngest commentator in the continent, calling games on Radio Gambia, and also a football administrator, worked in track and field, volleyball, table tennis, which gives me a modest understanding of all sports in the Gambia. Now, it is a known fact that football dominates all sporting events or all sporting disciplines in the Gambia. Came to the Gambia in 1930, brought in by British expatriates that were working in the Gambia at the time. um, particularly a man named Mr. Rusko that worked at the Department of Health. Lawn tennis came in around 1938. Basketball, 1967, introduced by Father Vincent Coma, who was the first principal of St. Peter's High School in Atlamen. Of course, wrestling has been there of prehistoric days. As you have rightly alluded in your introduction, sports does bring us together. It is a unifying component at global level. So being here today to share my little on the evolution of Gambian sports to where it is today is a very singular honor, and I will rank it among the tops in everything I've done during my lifetime. And I thank you all profoundly for according me this opportunity to share with you an insight, so to speak. Gambia, of course, is the smallest country in mainland Africa and has steadily transformed itself to a sporting identity from modest local beginnings into a source of international pride. Over the past few decades, Gambian athletes and teams have carved out a growing presence on the global stage, driven by talent, resilience, and expanding opportunities. Sports in the Gambia has long been rooted in community life, as rightly alluded here about the Moyo Fields, informal football matches played in the sandy neighborhoods and village fields formed the backbone of early athletic development. With minimal infrastructure but abundant passion, young players honed their skills through local tournaments and school competitions. Football quickly became the nation's most popular sport, supported by organizations like the Gambia Football Federation, which helped formalize leagues and youth programs. And this date back to 1955, when Augustinians first hosted Jeanne d'Arc of Senegal in the Gambia and beat them in Banjul. Then football was played at McCarthy Square. In recent years, the Gambia has emerged as a vibrant hub for sports showcasing a rich tapestry of talent that is increasingly gaining recognition on the global stage. The transformation is not merely a reflection of individual athletic prowess, but a testament to the country's deep-rooted cultural affinity for sports, which has evolved from local pastimes to international competitions. I just had one of the previous speakers talk about Gina Bass, Adam Ajane. Of course, every time we talk about Gambian sports, the first name that should come is the greatest that ever wore the Gambian colors, Alaji Jaibiri, who is one of the first Africans to play professional football in Europe, starting with Derby County in England, later Hafolio in Denmark, and Seville in Spain, where until recently, he was the all-time leading goal scorer for foreign players at Sevilla. Historically, sports in the Gambia have been woven into the fabric of everyday life. Traditional games like wrestling have been celebrated for generations, symbolizing strength, skill, and community spirit. These local sports have not only served as an entertainment, but also a means of fostering social cohesion and cultural identity. The Gambian people take immense pride in their heritage And this pride has become a catalyst for the rise of various sports. In recent years, football has emerged as the most popular sport in the Gambia, uniting fans from diverse backgrounds. The establishment of the Gambia Football Association in the 50s has provided a structured framework for the development of the sports, leading to the formation of competitive leagues and youth academies. Gambian players are increasingly making their mark in international leagues with such talents. Some of them have already been mentioned: Aliu Fadera, Musa Abaro, Yankuba Minte, etc., gaining recognition in Europe and Asia. These journeys serve as an inspiration for young athletes, showcasing the potential for Gambians to shine on a global platform. Moreover, the Gambia's success is not limited to football. The country has seen a surge in interest and investments in track and field, basketball, and even esports. Gambian athletes have begun to excel in track and field events, with promising talents emerging from local schools and community programs. The government and private sector have recognized the importance of sports as a vehicle for youth development, leading to increased funding for training facilities and coaching programs. The rise of Gambian sports has also seen bolstered by the diaspora community, which plays a crucial role in promoting and supporting local athletes. Gambians living abroad often return home to share their experiences, mentor young talent, and provide financial assistance to sports initiatives. This connection has not only enriched the sporting landscape, but also fostered a sense of pride and unity amongst Gambians worldwide. As the Gambia continues to invest in sports infrastructure and talent development, the potential for global recognition is vast. International events such as the African Cup of Nations and the Commonwealth Games provide platforms for Gambian athletes to show their skills and compete against the best in the world. The recent participation of the Gambian national football team, Scorpions, in international qualifiers has further ignited enthusiasm and hope among fans, signaling a new era of competitiveness. In conclusion, the rise of Gambian sports from local roots to global recognition is a remarkable journey fueled by passion, community, and resilience. As the nation embraces its sporting culture and invests in the future athletes, the world can expect to see more Gambian talents emerging ready to leave their mark on the global sports arena. The story of Gambian sports is still being written, and with each passing day, it becomes clearer that this small nation that was once dubbed the birth of an improbable nation, this nation that told the world that storms will be weathered, some were going to be turbulent and agitated, but this nation that told the world that they will rise to the occasion, face the political vicissitudes, and enhance its political evolution, today has demonstrated to the world what it means to be independent and what it means to be self-governing. And I would say it has become clear that this nation has the potential to make a significant impact on the world stage. I thank you all for your kind attention, and I look forward to working with each and every one of you for a better Gambia. Thank you. And may God bless you, and may God bless the nation that we all love.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, sir, for taking us through the rich history of the Gambian sport, um, particularly football. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Okay. And now we're going to the question and answer session. Um, we're going to open the floor to the general members. If you have any question, contribution, or comment, you may please raise your hand up and then we will allow you to come in. Thank you. Sankung, if you want to add anything, you may please come.
Yeah, thank you so much, Madam Kadia Tijala. Yeah, so, and thank you so much, Mr. Tijan Masane Sise, for those inspiring words. We deeply appreciate your time to share your knowledge and experience with us today. And I am very sure that everyone here has gained valuable insights from your remarks. So I have a question. Based on your experience as a sports journalist and also a historian, what advice would you give the Gambian athletes aspiring to reach the global stage?
I would always, like I tell the kids at the academy on a daily basis, the process is one day at a time, and it comes with discipline, determination, commitment, and love for what you are doing. Because without those, you certainly will not be a good athlete. Work with your coaches, whereas you are in school, you also want to be up with your academic work, because I always emphasize that there's life after sports and we have to be prepared for life after sports. Having covered football and basketball around the continent of Africa for many years, I have seen people that were not prepared in that area. So life after football, there was no life after football. So that is why at our academy, we place a very high premium on education. You cannot be part of the academy if you do not maintain a certain grade point average that is set up by the technical director, who is also a vice principal of a school in the Lamin area. So determination has to be there. You have to be ready to say, this is what I want to do. And I always tell people, young athletes that I speak to that normally invite me clubs to talk to their players, I always use Biri as an example. I covered Biri, and when you say determination in sports, he was the barometer by which the world was measured, given the fact that even Christmas Day or Tobaski Day, after the traditional festivities, Biri will be running at the beach, preparing himself. And you talk about the passion. The man even took a red card in Europe just to be able to come to play for Gambia the following week. So that is passion. That is determination. And that is one thing I will tell every Gambian athlete. And I keep echoing that on a daily basis.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. I think that is very right. That is why this team, I think it's a very suitable team for this year's celebration, because Even by then, in our school level, at school level, or at our community level, sometimes, I think the goal was very limited, just to win for your school or for your region. But now that people are now like aiming to go for international level, and then things has changed now. Then I used to see athlete being in one particular school for more than 5 years just to be able to maintain the records of a particular kunda or a particular region. But thank God now things are changing. So I think the person is very, very important, and then you need to set a goal. That is very right.
Let
So
me just add, if I may,
yes, sir.
every Gambian football player today in the Gambia wants to play in Europe or outside the Gambia on a professional level. So there is more commitment today and more seriousness to football, basketball, track and field, volleyball. If you look at what Gambian athletes are doing, we have female players and male players, volleyball playing outside the Gambia. So is basketball. We have, of course, lot of footballers, track and field. So there's more passion today. You see, we need to look at what the financial aspect of the game is and what is involved today. As a man that covered Gambian football as far back, I am on the record saying if what is involved today in sports and football in particular, in terms of finances, at the time, Gambia would have won the Nations Cup many, many times because we had the talent. We had the talent at the time. But of course, the infrastructure was weak. You had individuals that sponsored um, football and even national team travel. There were days when we traveled to call the game back to Radio Gambia. The line that we used was paid for by an individual. And I am very honored. I think I owe it to them to say people like the late Alaji Usainu, MMJ, Usman Basi Konate, Alaji Gabi Sose, James Gomez, former Minister Omar Amadou Jallo, Alaji Babu Sise, Alaji Omar C, Father Joseph Goff, and many more. These are the people that were supporting sports then with their own financial resources. So today it's different. Today, FIFA is pouring a lot of money into Gambian football when at the time it wasn't available. I will tell you, my first trip to cover the Gambian national team was not even paid for by my department. It was paid for by an individual. So you see the transformation and evolution that has taken place.
Thank you very much, sir. And now we would like to invite Mr. Ibu Baji. Mr. Ibu, you have a question or a contribution. The floor is yours.
Yes, thank you so much, madam. Thank you so much, for joining us, and then we are really proud to have you. So my question is, there are so many comments being thrown around as to the reason why our national football team, that is the Scorpion, is not really doing very well in the AFCON and also advancing to the World Cup level. So, given your background, what do you think is the real retard when it comes to the national football team? Thank you.
I think the question is kind of a little bit unfair, given the fact that we we kind of qualified back-to-back Nations Cup. If you look at what has transpired this past Nations Cup, why we did not qualify, we played all our home games away in Morocco, right? And preparedness also. You cannot bring a national team together for 4 days and expect to win. When you have teams, other teams like the Taranga Lions that are camped for a longer duration. So it comes back to finances. to be able to support your national team, and also being able to have your national team play in front of the home crowd. You know, you've watched some of the games. You can agree with me that if some of those games were played at the Independence Stadium, the Gambia would have been in Morocco this year. So I think that was the biggest disadvantage for our national team this past journey to the Nations Cup.
Thank you very much, sir. I would like to call on. Yeah, I think you have a questions.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Madam Moderator, and thank you so much, Mr. Cisse. It is indeed a pleasure to have you join us today from the Gambia. Okay, my question is, you being a club owner who have been very much super active when it comes to Gambian football and around the globe, what strategic planning did you people plan for Gambian players that are playing in our first and second division when it comes to their welfare? Because at some point we realized that our players, like, their welfare have not been well, put in place, because you realize at some club our players will have injury, and at the end of the day the clubs decide to ignore them or leave them like that. Our page, Facebook pages, they have to do, donation for them to go on to surgeries and things like that. So you being a club owner, what motive or what plans do you have to remedy those things or situations when it comes to your own club, Medina United in particular? Thank you.
Good question. Well, recently, if you read, there's a journalist called Esa, I think it's Esa Ba. I don't know how he got the information, but one of our ace players tore his ACL. And we paid $250,000 to get him to Senegal, where he is right now rehabbing. Our players are like our own family. And I think every club owner must approach their players the way we do. Just as recent as Monday, I had one of my players that we sent to a doctor, of course, and took care of all his medical bills. And one of the things that surprised me is that he's had this condition for a very long time. And I don't think the previous club took care of it. Now, if you just want to consider them as players that, oh, they just play for me, I don't think it's fair for the players. So at Medina, it is more of a family thing than just players. We hold our players like they're one of us. For example, we are second parents. My name at the academy is Uncle T. And my brother, who is the president, Michael Nicol, we want to make sure that we provide everything that they want. In fact, we provide our team, they train in the morning at 7:30. We ensure that they have breakfast every day before they leave. So you must be committed, because it's a two-way thing. If you show the player the affection that you have for them, they will return it. And you have a good ball club running. Like, well, I say this very proudly, but I'm going to say this on behalf of our coaches, the technical department that is led by head coach Aliu Jan. If you follow our story, we were just formed 5 years ago. We've already won the FA Cup in Gambian football from the second division. Medina is the second team to do it in Gambian history. We made it to the first division. And a month ago, we were at the bottom of the table. But today, we are within striking distance to win the league. Not only that, we are also in the quarterfinals of the FA Cup. So where I'm trying to go with this is that it's a two-way stream. It's you give and you take, and it's working together. In a recent interview I had with a journalist from Nigeria last week, he asked me, why is Medina where it is? And I told him it starts from the cleaner. It starts from the cleaner that cleans the complex to the cook that cooks for the boys when they train and play. It is teamwork and all of us together. And I told them there is no I in team. It's all of us. That's why it's TEAM. And you don't find an I in there, even though there is I in win. And when we win, it's all of us. In a nutshell, if you are committed to your players, you respect them. You give them what they are due. When they're injured on the field, wearing your jersey, it is your responsibility as a team owner to ensure that these players are taken care of. Dominic Boasi, like I said, is currently in Dakar. It's expensive, but it is our responsibility to ensure that he is taken care of, and he will be out next season because it's an ACL tear. But thank God we sent him to Dakar. Surgery was done, and I expect every team to do that. Now, let me just say this. When I served at the Gambia mission in Washington, my ambassador was Esa Bokar Sey, and I was his chief of staff. And ambassador pulled me into his office one day and said to me, and I quote, Tijan, the best in diplomacy is you are posted in the United States. One of the things you should do, which is a responsibility, you take what is good here and transfer it to the Gambia. And that's exactly what my brother and I have done. And we try to run our institution the way we are taught here in the United States. So that makes a lot of difference and really kind of propels our progress as a team, and as an organization. And mind you, it's not just the football club, it's an academy with 250 kids from 9 years. And I call that department like the daycare. So it's a lot of work, but it's also joy to just see these kids every day. You put that smile on their faces. And again, your responsibility is to make sure they get what they want and you take care of them. So an appeal I will make here to every club owner, to every club executive, to ensure that their players are well taken care of, particularly when an injury comes in. There are lots of players that are prematurely retired because they might have torn an ACL and it cannot be fixed in the Gambia. Maybe it could be, but we have only one orthopedic surgeon that I know, Dr. Keba Marena, who is an excellent doctor. But, he has a lot of patients waiting. So trying to move them to Senegal, where there are more orthopedic surgeons also, makes a difference in the lives of these players. And then they can be sent to rehab and come back and join their clubs.
Thank you very much. I also have a question, and I would like to ask. Like in the Gambia, if you look at the team placement in divisions, for example, I think the school at school level, grassroots level, is left out. I see, because sometimes most of the selection is done by whom you know. So, what are some of the things or some of the strategies that you use in scouting your players or recognizing a particular player and so on? Because as I used to be a match commissioner in most of the senior schools tournament by then. But then I realized that the coaches, like what I said, their intention was very limited within the region. So therefore, the kids were not given that opportunity to explore outside other opportunities. And therefore, we have a lot of children with hidden talents that, like, they are not out there for people to see them. So, how do you select or how do you recognize some of these children that need to come forward and then make a career? Because by looking at them, watching their matches, you know that they play well, but then they don't have the support or a coach or a mentor that helps them to get into the system properly. So, what strategy do you use?
Well, let me first talk at national level. I think this is a very important question, and it also addresses what is actually on the ground today. I don't know if you look like you follow Gambian football. Recently, the Gambia participated in the WAFU High Schools football tournament. Now, things have changed, and you got to give the kudos to the technical department of the Gambia Football Federation, which is headed by Sang Dong and Alaji Nyasi. A strategy is now in place to select school selection. The technical department of the GFF does a nationwide tryout. Nationwide. Every region of the Gambia, they go to scout players. They put in 2-3 days, let's say at Basse, to see all the academies play, and then they select the best from there. Same as Western Division, same as URR. So there's been improvement in that area. And it showed when we played in the high school's Wafu CAF tournament. Now with Medina, of course, we are based in Lamin, as you know. So that is our territory. But we go beyond. In fact, we have a youth scout. His name is Danso. He just led the team to Senegal last week. They were there in Dakar playing in a tournament organized by Paris Saint-Germain. And 3 of our kids have been selected. So we have players that come from Katong, Sintet on our team. So scouting has expanded really in terms of both the GFF and even the local clubs. Every club that I know in the first division and second and third division do have scouts. So it's a work in progress, but there is been some progress. And I congratulate you, and I wish you can convince more females to be part of football, not just football, but sports in general. We try at Medina, our office manager who runs the day-to-day operations of the academy is a female, and our press department also has a female. And I hope I can see more females in Gambian football and sports in general.
Thank you very much, sir, and I will commend you for that. For the wonderful work that you are doing. Sometimes it is not easy. I remember sometimes when you want to coordinate a game or be the match commissioner or a referee for senior school or third division player, they say, "Jigen bi mo ñoo ñoo." No. You know, sometimes they look down upon us and all that. So those were the challenges. But alhamdulillah, now we have, it is improving. We have a lot of women that are coming in. So now I would like to call on Aminata Sise. Aminata, your hand was up. Do you still have a question? Or Aminata, are you with us? Okay.
Madam Moderator, if
Yes,
I
sir.
may just add that now Gambian female referees that are FIFA accredited are amongst the best in the continent. And also, we also have female match commissioners. As I speak to you right now, 2 females are in Cairo at the CAF headquarters on a revision course for match commissioning. So that is a significant improvement, really. And more females should come in. And they are coming in.
You are right, sir. You are right. I am following some of them. Um. Yeah. Your hand is still up. Do you have anything to say?
Yes, thank you so much, Mr. CC, for answering that question I asked, previously. I can attest to that. I think that is why I'm also a Medina United fan because
Ah,
if you
well,
understand, I've,
you need to send us your address so that we can send you a
yeah,
replica Medina chat. Okay, you can just send me your address to my on my WhatsApp, and we'll get a jersey mailed to you as soon as I get back to Banjo.
Thank you so much. That is why I have been making a lot of love when it comes to Dominic Boyce because I understand that last year he was one of Medina United best player, but this season I have not been seen him a lot. So I was like questioning at several times. Even East, I was like, "What's happening to Dominic?" He told me that no, Dominic is injured and that is why he's not playing. And later on, I also saw Paul Colley, who I understand recently came from Nottingham Forest. Then he started wearing that number 10 jersey. I was like, what is happening? Until I think short 2 weeks ago, I saw Isa posted that Dominic is currently receiving treatment in Senegal, and I was like, I think that is commendable from Medina United. But I have a second question, and that question is, I understand, if I'm not mistaken, I have seen only Dominic Boyce who have went for international, professional exposure, a contract in Nottingham Forest where he trained with Nottingham Forest for a few weeks and some other clubs in England. So what are your plans? Though I understand Medina United is just established recently, but what are your plans also when it comes to professional exposure for our Gambian players, not only within the West African region or Africa, in Europe in particular, because I understand we have talented players that can absolutely go to Europe and deliver exceptionally well. Because I know some of the players, when it comes to Landing Jata, who was a student to me when I was in, Birkama Senior Secondary School. I know him very well. I know how dedicated he is. So what is your plan, when it comes to those young talented players you have in your club for the for international, or professional level at the international stage? Thank you.
I'm good. First of all, our sporting director Max is a Spanish, and he's based in Spain permanently. Now, let me say this: as I speak to you right now, we have a 12-year-old striker that flew out of Gambia last week. That is at Ida Valencia in Spain. We have 3 scholarships for 12-year-old kids that have been selected to go to Spain. Unfortunately, 2 of them, the consular matters wasn't met, but one of them is currently in Spain. We have international partnerships, in particularly in the US. We are very connected with Inter Miami. Some of our players, 2 of our players right now have been accepted on full scholarship to come to Miami-Dade College and gradually will evolve into Inter Miami because we also have a partnership with Inter Miami. Joe DiPaolo, who is their youth head coach, is a personal friend of my brother and myself and has visited us in the Gambia twice. Um, we work with a lot of scouts and a lot of agents. Currently, we working with the agent of Konate from Liverpool, and they're looking into our players. So we don't stop. Every single day, our scouting department, our technical department, even our media department, where you just mentioned Esa, who does a phenomenal job. We are in touch trying to get rid of our players because, like you say, football is the only economy that doesn't go down. It's a consistent economy, right? So you have to be able to establish the international links. And honestly, Gambian teams in the first and second division are doing great. Every week you see a player that is leaving for trials. If I remember, when I covered Gambian football, the only professional at the time was Alajin Jaibiri. And the only other player that I know that was scouted was Lamin Owens when we went to Bissau, Zone 2, 78, 79. And he was scouted to come here, Cosmos, where Pele was playing at the time. So you look at what has transpired from the 70s to now. And, the game has evolved, really. Like, I had to learn the game again when I came back to run the academy. It is true, you can credit me with forming Roots Football Club, getting players like Aziz Kaur, Chendur, James Freeman. But when I came back, the game was new to me. So we have to commend Gambian teams, their scouting departments, their executives. They're doing a tremendous job ensuring that players are leaving. There's no 1 week when 2 or 3 players don't head out to trial. I understand Molamin Dabo that played for me on loan last year is in Sweden right now on trial. So it's a tremendous development that has taken place in Gambian football, quite frankly.
Thank you very much, sir. And we'll take our last question from David S. Giver. Mr. David, you may please have the floor.
Yes, good evening. Am I audible? May I confirm my
Yes.
audibility?
Yes, sir.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Cisse, once again. To be honest, I want to ask a question, but then it will really be unjust for me to commend the presentation you've made so far. It was superb. Again, the question I'm about to ask is by no means a criticism. Generally, it's more of a constructive feedback question intended to gain knowledge on how to improve the Gambia sport. Because as we know, life is not really built or carved in stone. Every member here has the opportunity to be linked to sport in one way or another. So the question begs, there's a lot of things about the players. I've heard things about players, I've heard things about the individuals. But then in my perspective, or the way I've seen things, is the players play their part to some extent. But in as much as the players are within the system in itself plays its part as well. So I personally have seen excellent, brilliant players. They didn't lack the talent, they didn't lack the hard work, they didn't lack anything of that sort. But then they died down at the end because they trained all day, every day, made it to the top of the country, and then got nowhere with it. Now, this is not for football. I don't follow Gambian football a lot. When it comes to basketball, I've seen Westside. I've seen the people of Westside play incredible basketball. I've seen them get to the top of the league, win the league every single season, but they have nothing to show for it. So my question is, aside from your team and looking at the Gambia in general, what would you suggest the country as a system do so that the sporting nation in itself advances? That is, how do they build partnerships? How do they invest in sports in general? How do they scout people? This has nothing to do with your team. You've already told us what that does. How does it do it in general? What do we improve on as a country so that the sporting would have a better showcase to the rest of the world? Thank you.
Thank you. I think that's a very good question. But I think there are two things that are fundamental, relevant to the question that you've asked, and that is the infrastructure and the investment. Now, we do not have good basketball infrastructure in that country. Yes, you are right. I have seen a lot of good talent in the Gambia. I don't know if you do recall when I served in Washington, one of the things I did was bring the Street Basketball Association to the Gambia with Gerard Mustaf, who passed away, God bless his soul. And the president of the Gambia at the time was very, very in tune with developing basketball. If I do remember, even a plan was submitted to build a basketball stadium that would hold about 20,000 people. So, and we also need the human resource capacity in sports. Our coaches need to be trained effectively. Now, that is one thing the Gambia Football Federation is doing, because if you do know, when you play international games, you have to have at least a B license or an A license to sit on the bench. So human resource capacity development is taking place in football right now. They just finished a CAF B license program 2 days ago in the Gambia. And that should be the case with other sporting disciplines, because you cannot bring me that don't know nothing about tennis and tell me to coach tennis. I don't know anything about tennis, right? And that is the case in many sporting disciplines. So I think we need to harness what we have, improve on the capacity of our coaches, and then investment. And this is where I call on private sector involvement. And then the infrastructure. We do not have the infrastructure. Most of the basketball games are played in Serekunda. I think, is it west by the Bohol? That is west, right? Or east? And the Manasila tennis lawn. There's not been any development there, you know. So and when you have good infrastructure, it also motivates your players, right? And when the finance is there, you are able to equip these players. And none of these are in place. So until we do so, we will not improve. I hope that answers your question.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, Mr. Jiba, for that question. Now, I would like to hand over to Mr. Sangum to take us through the last phase of this event.
Thank you so much, Madam Kadiat. But before that, Mr. Bailo Barry's hand is raised. Do you have a question, Mr. Barry? Is Mr. Barry with us? It seems Mr. Barry is not with us. Without wasting much time, we'll move to the last item on our agenda. It is a pleasure to call on the Secretary General of the Association of Gambian Students in India, Moses O.N. Dabasin, to give the closing remarks.
May I confirm my audibility and visibility, please?
Yes, you're audible, sir.
Thank you. Good evening, Your Excellency Sajo Eke Jaju, most distinguished guest, Mr. Masane Tijan Sise, members of the Ninth Executive Council, and to you all, our ever cooperative members. It is with great honor on behalf of the Vice President, His Excellency Modu Luis, that I step in to give the closing remarks. To start with, I would like to commend the Ninth Executive Council for such a timely theme on the commemoration of our 56th Republic celebration. Our dearest guest, Mr. Cisse, it remains a great pleasure and honor having you with us today on the given theme, the rise of Gambian sports from local roots to global recognition, considering your expertise in sports. Tonight's discussion was well dilated and we have all learned, unlearned, and relearned. We extend our sincerest gratitude to you for granting us such an honor of having you here tonight, and most especially, learn and clear our doubts on Gambian sports. We are truly elated. To our MCs, your eloquence in moderating this session speaks volumes, and we can't sincerely thank you enough. I Jambargen, and we say thank you. And to our general members, Amulen Moram, as said in Wolof, is an understatement. Your cooperation and continued participation gives us strength to keep keeping on. So we equally extend our sincerest and heartfelt gratitude to you all for being the best. To conclude, I wish you all a happy Republic Day once again, and pray that the unity, freedom, and peace as proudly sung in our anthem, remains with us forever. Thank you all once again. Till we come your way again, I officially close this meeting in my capacity as Secretary General on behalf of His Excellency Mother Louise. Back to you, moderators.
Those were the words of Moses O.N. Dobasin, the Secretary General of the Association of Gambian Students in India. As we bring this beautiful celebration to an end, we are reminded that Republic Day is not only about how far the Gambia has come, but also about the future we are building together. Thank you to everyone who joined us, our esteemed guest speaker for the inspiring insight, and the Ninth Executive Council of the Gambian for making this event a success. Happy Republic Day. Thank you, everyone.
And Mr. Sankung, just before we close, this is an oversight from our end. So first, I would like to apologize. Today, our attendance is a little bit low because most of our members are on exam, so and that is okay. Sir, you may want to give your final remark. Sorry. Sorry.
Um,
You may
I
want
am
to
elated.
give final remark.
I am elated to see you all united for a purpose, to give all you have and what you can for our nation. And I continue to pray for each and every one of you that God Almighty will continue to grant you the wisdom and the strength to continue in your work, prepare you to come back to your country and take our nation to high heights. I was particularly delighted to be in your company today, and I hope this is not the first time. So until I come your way again in God's time, I say good night from Washington and so long.
Thank you so much, sir. We will definitely love to have you again. So
Thank
on
you.
that note, I would like to thank everyone for joining us tonight. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye bye. Have a good day and